Hi, everybody. This is Skip Alzheimer. Welcome to the AV Geeks lunchtime streaming show where I'm all. Bleh. I've got a pocket full of cough drops. I'm on cold meds. And
hi, everybody. This is Skip Alzheimer.
And I forgot to mute the show, so I'm doing that right now. Anyways, thanks for bearing with me last couple of days. Icky. It was kind of gross. I get these colds. Maybe it's caused by pollen. I don't know what it is, but basically, I've gotten pneumonia a couple of times around this time because my respiratory system is just a mess. It's a mess. And speaking of pollen, here is a film about pollen called The Growth of Flowers. Enjoy.
Early spring. Day by day, the hours of sunlight slowly increase, and the cycle of life is renewed. Already the blossoms of the crocus have appeared. And soon the branches of forsythia have produced their tender young leaves and flowers. Jonquils have developed new stems and leaves, but their time of flowering has not yet come. A week passes. Another week. And still another. Until at last the full flower appears. This slow process of growth becomes even more impressive when seen through the eye of the time-lapse camera. There are times and seasons in the life of a flowering plant. A time for the growth of new stems, leaves, and roots. But this kind of growth cannot produce a flower. Eventually, in the cells at the tips of the stems, there is a dramatic change, and a new kind of growth begins. The time of flowering has come. The flowers of the jonquil appear in early spring. And as the cycle of the year continues, other plants begin to put forth their blossoms. From spring to summer to autumn, each kind of plant has its own time of flowering. And each kind of flower, as it opens, has its own pattern of movement revealed by the time-lapse camera. There is beauty in the opening of a flower, beauty that plays a vital role in the cycle of life itself. Some flowers open only at night. The white petals of the datura can be seen more easily in the darkness by night-flying insects. But it is in the daytime that most flowers unfold their blossoms. If the light is dimmed, a tulip closes its petals. And then, when the light is restored, the petals are opened once more. The closing of a flower helps to protect its pollen from dew and rain. There are times and seasons in the life of a flowering plant. The time of flowering is also the time of pollination. When a blossom has been pollinated, the time of flowering comes to a close, and the cycle of life moves on. The pollinated flower produces its fruit and its seeds. And now the cycle of life enters a more somber stage. The development of seeds may soon be followed by the death of the plant. The future of the plant species lies hidden in the seeds. For other plants, survival takes a different form. Under the ground, a part of the plant may remain alive, concealed and protected by the soil, even after winter has brought death to other parts of the plant. A tree or a bush may remain alive throughout the winter, losing only its leaves. But here too, life slows its pace when the surroundings become too cold or too dry. The promise of further growth is locked in the buds on the branches. Slowly, winter runs its course. Days lengthen and become warmer. The state of dormancy is broken, and the cycle of life is renewed. Each kind of plant responds in its own way to its changing surroundings. And soon the earth is once again brightened by the growth of flowers.
So someone in the comments made a pretty good point about what had to change for them to revise the second edition. It's not like there was any late breaking news in botany. Somebody must have made a mistake, or maybe they're like, we need more flute music, or we need longer periods of montages of flowers growing and dying. Yeah. All right. We've all become big fans of this guy. Here's The Lost Treasure featuring our good friend Ho Chow. Enjoy.
An enjoyable hour in any day may be passed at our local coffee house. Here friends can relax and forget their troubles, or argue about the news of the world. That elderly gentleman is a wise sheikh who remembers the popular tales of Nasruddin Hoja. And just coming in the door is Burhan, an earnest young man who lives nearby.
Oh, but think of the money you could get for it.
But I've worked so hard for this.
Yes, well, that's just it. You work hard.
Why not?
How long do you work every day?
Could I trouble you for some coffee? Good afternoon, Hamid.
I don't see anything good about it.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry to have disturbed you.
$15-20 hours a day, and for what?
Well, I own part of it.
Our waiter seems troubled, Effendi. By a certain young radical, I'm afraid. Hamid? Ah, yes. Hamid has been trying to persuade our good waiter to sell his partnership in this little coffee house and work for a new cause, for a new kind of society in which the government would own everything and guarantee good times and equal working hours. But the waiter has worked years for what he has. Surely he would not give up all that for a lot of fancy radical promises. It is a human failing, Burhan, that people, especially young people, I'm afraid, forget to look for happiness in their own backyard. I wish our friend, the waiter, remembered how Nasruddin Hoja once helped two young farmers with a very similar problem. Which story is that, Effendi? Let me tell it to you, Burhan, and see if the lesson does not apply to Hamid and the waiter. The story is called The Lost Treasure. In the years long ago, when the Hoja was judge in his village, he was often called upon to act as advisor in matters of birth and marriage and business and death. Once, an old farmer who lay waiting for death to take him begged the Hocha to help him write a last will and testament. The dying man was afraid that his 2 sons would be tempted to sell the farm and give up all that a lifetime of hard labor had gained from the earth. The Hocha thought deeply about the wisest way to meet this problem, and then, taking up his pen, began to write a last will for the old man to approve before he shut his eyes forever. On the 40th day after their father's death, when the sons were visiting his grave, a certain land merchant was waiting for them. He tempted the sons with talk of an easier life in distant places and offered them ready cash if they would sell him the farm. As was the custom in those days, an official seal was necessary on all documents. So the 2 sons went before the Hocha with their bill of sale for the farm. Nasruddin Hocha was saddened by the readiness of the young men to sell their heritage, the farm for which their father had worked so hard. Before he approved the sale, he asked them to listen to their father's last message to them. My 2 good sons, in my last words, I must tell you that there is a great treasure buried on the lands of our farm. Do not let anyone steal that treasure from you. And upon hearing this, the sons had only one desire: to rush back to their farm and start working the land as hard as they could to find the hidden treasure. And work on the farm they did, digging every inch, turning the soil, plowing, cultivating, planting, harvesting, and plowing again as the seasons sped quickly by. But after 2 hard years, the sons felt tired and disappointed because they had found no buried treasure on their farm. In an angry temper, they returned to Nasruddin Hocha.
There is no treasure buried on our fields, Hocha. We have looked everywhere. The truth is that in his old age, our father foolishly believed in something that did not exist.
Nasruddin Hocha listened patiently for a while and then asked the sons to come with him for one more visit to the farm. farm was now a picture of prosperity. In their years of hard labor, the sons had taken bountiful crops from the land, improved the buildings, and started families. Nasruddin's words now rang with dry humor. Did the sons actually believe that their dying father had lied? What was all this wealth and health and happiness that they had gained from the farm, if not a treasure? The Hocha needed to say no more. His lesson was clear, and the sons said no more about selling their heritage. Luckily for them, they had found their treasure before they had lost it for good. And this was the wisdom of the Hocha.
Our friend the waiter was listening to your story, Effendi. He seems to have no more use for Hamid's radical ideas.
It is a simple lesson, Burhan, to cherish what we have and search for happiness in the ways of our fathers. But unfortunately, too many people today do not recall the wise teachings of Nasruddin Hocha.
Hey, Taryn, welcome back. For some of you who don't know, Taryn's been following us for quite a while, back during COVID. But, you know, life doesn't mean that you can always make the lunchtime show, because I was sick, I was out for some of the shows. But we're always welcome, always happy to have you back. Yeah. So I love the young radical.
He always talks like this. I mean, that's the way I should do this show.
I mean, is there ever a time that a good person, a character who is good at heart,
Has a voice like this.
I don't think so. I think it's pretty much the trope for an annoying, negative.
He talks like this.
So I feel bad for the people who that's how they speak, is
They talk like this, very nasally.
All right. Microscopes. Let's see what they got in store for us. Enjoy.
The unaided eye is a powerful observational tool. But in 300 years since the invention of the microscope, we have learned of a world hidden within the very things that appear ordinary to our naked eyes. Pond water becomes, under the microscope, a teeming mass of microorganisms. The substance, blood, appears to be a uniform red liquid. It is, in fact, a clear fluid filled with tiny cells. All living things, when enlarged, show new levels of structure, from leaf to cells to the tiny living particles they contain. This brass instrument, made around 1900, shows all basic microscope parts, a design that hasn't changed in over 100 years. There is a mirror directing light into the microscope. A condenser lens used to focus light onto the specimen. And beneath the condenser, an iris that controls light entering the imaging system. A stage holds slides, and above it, most microscopes have a rotating turret with objective lenses, easily replaced with modern objectives for better imaging. Coarse and fine adjustments smoothly vary distance between objective and slide, for this is how a microscope is focused. An eyepiece lens further magnifies the image beamed up from the objective and brings it to focus on the retina of a human eye. What microscope lenses do, in effect, is to optically move your eye right up to the slide. Of course, if you actually try this, you can't see microorganisms clearly because your eye's lens is unable to curve enough to focus at such close range. A tiny fish, by comparison, has great lens curvature. Through a minnow's eye, microorganisms look like this. The same kind of strong curvature is designed into microscope objective lenses. They focus close enough to give you a fisheye view. Compare objective lenses of different magnifications. A short 4x and a longer 20x. For a subject, a needle lit from behind. The low-power 4x objective projects the needle's reversed image onto a plastic screen marked with a red circle showing the area that will be further magnified by the eyepiece. The 20x with stronger curvature focuses closer to the subject, projecting a wide cone that produces a larger but dimmer image. The part of the image sampled by the eyepiece appears highly magnified. However, with increased magnification, you must keep changing focus to see all aspects of the subject. At 1/4 millimeter, paramecium is about the smallest microorganism visible to the naked eye. Using a 40x objective and 10x eyepiece, paramecium appears enlarged 400 times. With a 100x objective and a 10x eyepiece, for a total magnification of 1000, you can only see the pointed end of the paramecium, covered by waving cilia, and nearby, some rod-shaped bacteria. Light itself places a limit on any further magnification, for here we are looking at structures in the size range of the shortest wavelengths of light. For example, barely visible within the spinning bacteria are granules right at the wavelength limit. Although smaller structures are present, they are invisible, too small to affect light waves. Light may set an ultimate limit, but the condenser lens has a much more immediate effect on image quality. Before condensers were used, illumination was by mirror alone. In this kind of condenserless imaging system, leaf cells look grainy and structures blend together. Changing to a higher power objective gives no more information, just the same information enlarged. The problem here is poor resolution, the ability of an imaging system to separate or resolve details. Focusing light onto the leaf with a condenser improves resolution. However, the image now has a washed-out appearance due to flare caused by light spilling in around the edges of the objective. Eliminating flare is the purpose of an iris that shapes the cone of light focused up from the condenser so that it just fills the lens. Looking in the microscope, flare vanishes as the field just begins to darken, producing a high-resolution flare-free image. The plant's food-making bodies resembling green jelly beans now show up clearly. When the iris is used to cut out flare, contrast, how the subject stands out against its background, improves. Further closing of the iris produces more contrast, but at the expense of resolution. This relationship between contrast and resolution controlled by the iris, gives you some choices when viewing clear, unstained specimens. A case in point, living in a lake near our laboratory are organisms that are so transparent they are virtually invisible under normal bright field illumination. These strange creatures could only be seen by closing the iris beyond the normal amount in order to gain enough contrast to make structures like the eye and heart observable. Trading off resolution for contrast can be helpful when viewing a clear subject. However, with stained specimens, contrast is built in through color, and so the iris should be adjusted for best resolution. The use of biological stains to improve contrast and to differentiate one structure from another is largely responsible for our knowledge of the microscopic makeup of plants and animals. However, the process requires killing cells and slicing them into thin sections. An option is to study microscopic subjects live using special lighting techniques, like this dramatic change in lighting. It's a technique called dark field illumination. In its simplest form, dark field is produced by blocking light from the objective lens with a black is lit by beams of light focused in from the sides, but the disc prevents light from shining directly into the objective, thus the dark background. Changing from bright field to dark field shows new features, like the color of these clumps of bacteria and paramecium's bluish nucleus. Many subjects are more interesting to look at in dark field. It is as though you had shrunk to their size, examining them in their own hidden world. For a variation on dark field technique, make discs from transparent colored plastic. Now subjects appear against a colored background, again lit by rays focused in from the sides. With a colored background disc in place, light focused onto the subject can also be colored. We tried this in order to see the faces of salt crystals, and what began as a way to get information from our crystals turned into a microscopic light show. As crystals began to dissolve and recrystallize, their newly formed faces made visible in reds and greens. Another way to manipulate color is to use polarized light. These changing colors give information about the composition and thickness of growing crystals. But these effects are only visible when crystals are viewed between crossed polarizers, in this case, lenses from a pair of sunglasses. Here is the principle. Rotate the polarizing lenses until they cross, extinguishing the light. Now the crystal shows up in colors not seen in normal light. Fit your microscope with polarizers and explore a world of light and color. In living specimens, cross-polarized lighting may reveal hidden details, like the arrangement of muscle fibers in our transparent lake dwellers, or crystals within a living paramecium, features virtually undetectable under normal bright field illumination. These simple but powerful techniques provide a wealth of information. But to further explore cells and tissues, biologists require special microscopes. The two main kinds are the phase contrast microscope and the differential interference microscope. Both use complicated manipulations of light to produce their revealing images. In phase contrast lighting, clear structures stand out without sacrificing resolution. This kind of revealing image, showing living processes in action, is what makes phase contrast such a valuable imaging tool. The other and newer lighting method, differential interference, uses a polarization process to produce a different kind of image. Here there is a feeling of looking at an optical slice cut through a living cell. A researcher may need to use all of these forms of lighting to interpret the hidden world. For example, consider Euglena, a primitive one-celled organism. Under normal bright field lighting, Euglena's green chloroplasts and red eye spots show up. Dark field emphasizes Euglena's cell wall. Phase contrast shows the whip-like flagellum, an important structure often difficult to see in normal bright field. Differential interference gives a different impression of the flagellum and shows further details of the cell. These techniques complement each other. No one method of lighting tells the whole story. Or, as Robert Hooke, one of the first biologists to explore the hidden world, wrote over 300 years ago, "I can never describe the specimen accurately without first observing it in several lights, in different positions to these lights. Only in this way have I been able to discover its true form." Using a microscope can be a mind-stretching adventure, a way to discover through observing. But the light microscope is not only a valuable scientific tool. Used with skill, it becomes a window into an amazing hidden world.
So I was looking up Forrest Booth, the guy who did the music, and yeah, he's on Discogs, but it's for technical credit. So he was a sound engineer on a guitar and auto harp album. Yeah, not very exciting. I was hoping to find maybe a gem of some sort of electronic music that he did, because there were moments of there that were pretty good, almost krautrocky. Okay, so this next film is about New York City. I love New York City for lots of reasons. I've had some wonderful times there over the years. I don't know if I could live there, but I certainly have spent a lot of time there and have done amazing shows there, but I've also seen amazing things and done really fun, amazing things there. So this is 1970s New York, when it was absolutely horrible to be there, supposedly, but it was still pretty great. It's just like pizza there. It's like, this pizza's not very good, but it's still pizza. So it's kind of okay. All right, here's East Side, West Side. Enjoy.
With its forest of towers, where else but New York? Impressive, sprawling, first city of America. 350 years ago, when Europe was the center of civilization, the island of Manhattan was a barren wasteland, inhabited by a few Red Indian natives. A Dutchman called Peter Minuet arrived with the first settlers and bought the island from the Indians for beads and trinkets, worth about 10 pounds. The settlement was named New Amsterdam. 40 years later, when the British captured it from the Dutch, it was renamed New York. Since then, millions of words have been written about it. It's been called the big city, the melting pot, the place where you can buy anything. It's the home of the United Nations, the Empire State, the Statue of Liberty, and over 8 million Americans. It's the symbol of the New World. The speed and pattern of modern travel have brought America and New York closer to everyone. When you get here, wherever you go, whether it's uptown, downtown, east side, west side, there's a lot to do and a lot to see. New York is Brooklyn, the Bronx, Coney Island. It's Chinatown, Harlem, Carnegie Hall, and 1,000 other places. But above all, New York is its people. Its extraordinary mixture of races, languages, and creeds. New York is unique because of the New Yorkers, and the best place to meet them is on the streets. The Manhattan skyscrapers dominate the streets. finding your way around New York is easy. The avenues run north and south, the streets east and west. 6th Avenue, the Avenue of the Americas, is the dividing line. There is a tremendous turnover in the city's visiting population. Travelers, businessmen, conventions, and tourists all need hotels. New York has them on practically every block in every district. New York has more hotel rooms than some countries have people. If you want to settle for the best, you'll find the hotel is a self-contained city. Restaurants, bars, shopping arcades. You can spend all your time in the hotel quite happily without ever moving outside. But it's a big city. And as we said, there's a lot to do and a lot to see. No, not the fountains of Rome, but the Metropolitan Museum of Art. You'd need a week to do justice to the paintings inside. If you don't like stairs, this is the museum for you, the Guggenheim. The museum is circular, and you move from floor to floor in gentle slopes. It contains the finest collection of modern art to be found anywhere in the world. From a little culture to grand history. This is Grant's tomb. You could read all about it, but why not ask a cop?
Well, yeah, he was a Union general back in the Civil War, and after he defeated the Confederates led by General Lee, he went on to become president in 1869.
Say, thank you very much.
Okay, have a nice day now.
They're tough, they're armed, but they're friendly. New York's police force is, like its population, multiracial. Among those who have helped to write New York's history was John D. Rockefeller. This is his monument, the Rockefeller Center. It's a collection of buildings, a privately owned city within a city. Its showpiece is the Plaza, this beautiful garden and restaurant in the heart of Manhattan. If eating is for you, whatever your taste, New York can provide it. At any time of the day or night. More often than not, the people that run the eating places are as colorful as the food they serve.
Well, as a matter of fact, I came here in 1959 with a Japanese wrestling team, and I went to school here in New York City. We cook everything right on the table, right in front of customers' eyes. And we have a special chef, one chef for each 2 tables, and cook us appetizer through entree. I think today's restaurant, we have to have showmanship. By the way, we are going into London to open up a Benihana, so we'll see you there.
Here's an experience for the gourmet who thinks he's tasted everything. A kosher Chinese meal. It's at Bernstein's on Essex Street, where East meets East. A curious, unlikely mixture. Yes, but it seems to work. Maybe that's the secret of New York. This is Fifth Avenue, Main Street, New York. Just about everything in the city starts or ends on Fifth. The big stores, the Empire State Building, Central Park, and Washington Square are all here. This is where the city's parades march, like the famous Easter Parade. Where Broadway meets 7th Avenue, you'll find Times Square, the crossroads of the world. Amongst the signs, names and places made famous by a million movies, the people of New York work. The world of Times Square. Noisy, brash, larger than life. Some people have seen it all before. The streets may not be paved with gold, but the cellars surely are. Outside the Treasury building, where he took the oath of office as first President of the United States, stands George Washington, probably best remembered as the man who could not tell a lie. In less than 200 years, America has become the world's greatest industrial power. The stock exchange is its nerve center. Its dealings are with all countries, in all currencies and in all languages. It even has a language of its own. Deals worth countless millions of dollars are made each day. No money changes hands. It's only paper. Through a midsummer haze, a bird's eye view of Manhattan. It's difficult to see how they managed to find room for an open space down there, but they did. Central Park, where else? For New Yorkers and visitors, of course, a place to relax in, to walk in, sail, ride, or to take a drive in. If you're looking for a castle, here's one. The Belvedere, on the banks of the New Lake. You'll see no knights in shining armor, I'm afraid. It's a weather station. Downtown through Washington Place onto Washington Square. It's the setting for a kaleidoscope of activities. Everyone has a place in the square. All kinds of sounds mingle. Way out and way in, square or hip. Anything goes. Basketball needs concentration and fitness. Man, the Globetrotters are nothing compared to this team.
Completely out.
Nighttime in New York is fun time. If you prefer your music with an Eastern beat, try this. As bright as day, the Great White Way. It was the neon lights that gave the well-known tag to Broadway in the 30s. Catching the night lights is as much a popular pastime of native New Yorkers as it is for visitors. For the bizarre, the unusual, the downright puzzling, Greenwich Village takes some beating. Your father's mustache. Your father's mustache? Nighttime in Chinatown, New York, is fascinating. It's busy, vibrant, and full of restaurants. I can smell the sweet and sour from here. The dancing, the singing, the fun goes on right through the night to the early hours. Concrete blocks. Dominating, overpowering. There is one way to get away from the eternal skyscraper. Rise above it. Manhattan Island. On one side, the East River. On the other, the Hudson. They merge at the southern tip and flow on to the Atlantic. This skyline is one of the modern wonders of the world. Bridges and tunnels, subways and ferries link the island with New Jersey, the Bronx, Queens, Brooklyn, and, of course, the rest of America. In addition to everything else that New York is, it is one of the world's busiest seaports. We're now rounding the southern tip of Manhattan Island. This is the Staten Island Ferry. It plies between Manhattan and the island. It's where you can see what is perhaps America's best-known landmark, the Statue of Liberty. And for the biggest, brightest, loudest, largest amusement park in the world, as the Barkers tell us, there is no place to equal Coney Island. It's time to go. I can't pretend you've seen it all. You could live here all your life and never do that. Tell you what, though, anytime you're back in town, I'd be happy to show you some more.
Shot by a British company and distributed by our propaganda wing, the United States government. Pretty great. A lot of that is very dated, but and New York's not great, but it's good. There's some good stuff still there, even like post-COVID, post-investment banker nonsense. There's still these nice little nooks and interesting little things that don't cost money. That you're just there. I love going and then just walking around. Spend a day just walking around, and you stumble across like a street fair, or you see like some little park that you didn't know existed. Like once, I don't know if it still exists. Like I was there for a film conference, and we all went to the Forbes Museum. Which was, started by the founder. And turns out there's like a metal toy soldier collection there. Like a whole museum of metal toy soldiers and toys in general. Like, what is that? And it was like a free museum. You just go in and you're like, that's insane. And my friend and I, this was years ago. Holy cow, it was a long time ago. It was my friend who was on the show when I went to Milwaukee, my friend Sid McCain. I would visit her periodically, and we would look in the free page in the New York press, and there was like Museum of Holography. And we're like, ooh, we should go. So we went, and it was like on the third floor of this office building. We saw this little sign in the window, and we go up 3 flights of stairs, and there is a couple of things. It's like an office, like a little office, and the guy has some things on the wall, and it turns out that H.R. Giger was there like earlier that week and had shot like a bunch of stuff, and had there were some props that were H.R. Giger props and it was like like a mask and like some weird. And we were like, holy cow, this is like insane. And it was free. So New York can be really fascinating in that regard. Of course, I avoid Times Square entirely. I do not like Times Square. It's incredibly touristy. But I go to other places and see other things. So there's my thing about how much I love New York City. It ain't cheap, though. All right. Anyways, the cold medication has me kind of going. Yeah. Anyways, thanks for joining us today. Thank you for the contributions today, Nathan and Taryn. It was great to see you. If you like what you saw, you can hit the thumbs up, hit the like button. You can also use the super thanks button, which is what Nathan and Taryn did. That will help support us to help pay rent on all the storage units that we have. Let's see. You can also support us by going to ko-fi.com/avgeeks or patreon.com/avgeeks, or just watching, sharing. We love to see you. We love to see your name and your comments, even if it's just saying hello or goodbye. We'll be back again tomorrow. I'm still not 100%. I would say I'm 75%, and it depends on the day, what time of day, but I am definitely going to do the show in Durham at the Fruit, which is it's a marketplace / exhibition of physical media, and I was invited to participate and of course show 16mm films. That's from 7 to 9, and then Josh from Lunch Meat VHS will be on from 9:30 on. But there will be plenty of vendors there. There'll be other stuff going on. So maybe if you're in the area, I will see you there. Otherwise, take care. We'll see you tomorrow. See you tomorrow.